What's up, my superhumans? I'm going to try to do this. I'm on a busy street in New Orleans, and I'm right here I'm right in the Omni parking lot. If you're familiar with New Orleans, I want to show you we moved the storm. Yesterday was my birthday, and it finished an 8-year cycle for me and a 3-year cycle within it, an ecliptic cycle. Here in New Orleans is where the ancient bones of all of our ancestors lay. And it's why the storm was purposely heading here. Fernando and I came here last minute. I was in Texas. I knew I had to get to New Orleans. Coming through here, I went through a magic grid that about shook my kitties. Found a diamond on the ground right after I cleared it. Wasn't exactly sure why I was coming to New Orleans, but I did. This is the St. Helene. This is where it all began in 2013 for me. I'm going to walk away from here right now just so I have a little bit more sound. I'm going to show you New Orleans. We're all right. The storm's moved to the left, and it's where we needed it. We needed it to go straight to Texas because that's who sent it. So, again, the ancestors guided us here in order to get the energetics off this town. And it was the ancestors of what we would call our ancient witches, our ancient vampires, our ancient wolves. Because it is what it is. No, I'm not crazy. Each of us have that DNA in us, and that's what I teach, and that's what I've learned walking this journey for the past 3 years. But this journey for me started right here in New Orleans in 2013. Now, my journey in New Orleans happened a long time before that. But Christy's journey started here in 2013. I was building artificial intelligence at the time, although it really wasn't. If you have any degrees in your chart and you have Libra from about 18 degrees all the way to 22, you have Spica energy. What does that mean? What you say is. What you say is. You have the prophetic tongue. It's why I can do light language, and I can heal you. But so can you do this even if you don't have that placement. But why am I speaking of that? Because you're master creator and I am a prophet. I'm prophetic. As many of you are, some of us have a little bit more of that DNA active right now because some of us had to get that DNA active in order to finish this evolutionary reset and regain the DNA that was lost inside every human, that connected you back into your ancestors, that connected you back into the earth, because there was only one set of beings that even had the consciousness of being earth, because that was the family that sacrificed their daughter to become earth. Now, when the earth blew, somebody had to be conscious in order to connect it again. But see, the problem is when you steal everybody's inheritance and you pretend to be people in October and you pretend your birthday is in October, and in 1528 you just decide to erase 8 days in October, go look it up, there becomes a little issue. Because then there is nobody who is conscious and who is being trained and who is remembering that they're the earth. There's no family lineage that's telling everybody that the reason that you're getting ovary and cysts and things is because you're birthing galaxies and birthing universes and you didn't know. So there were some of us that were planted here long ago, and some of us fell here. on purpose to be here for now as a monad family to work together in consciousness, which we were always connected to. But here in this plane, we had forgot that we were. But those of us who have Syrian energy, anything that you have in Cancer, especially any of the early degrees, then that means that you are part of that Tudor lineage that had been claimed by others across space time, including why the Titanic went down. Now, this has all been rectified, so I don't want to hash up old crap. However, in 2013, here's what happened. I had a $2.3 million company. I had been in Fortune 100 since I was 20 years old, 26 to be exact. Was all up in ExxonMobil, Shell, Texaco. I was doing master deals back then, and I was selling people. I was. But you called me a recruiter. I helped get you a job. Now, this was back prior to Y2K and the technology boom. At that point, we didn't even have C#. Microsoft didn't even have a development application. It was Java or it was nothing. Oh, how times have changed. Now, I don't want to get off on the other subject, but what ended up happening is that I always had future tech codes in me. It's what I was here to bring. I'm here to bring a unified system of technology so that we are all interconnected, because the only reason technology was ever invented was to realize how to program so that you knew how to program your body. It was never intended to give power over all people. But that's what it ended up doing because of the powers that were running it. And because they had starseeds like me and maybe you running around the world manifesting, talking about it over and over and over and over and over and over and over. Now when you do that, you end up creating it. Now see, I didn't know that. But at this point in time, I was building a dating site. I met somebody who had 9 patents in what he called artificial intelligence, and a man you might know as Obama was utilizing it at that point in order to send out messages across the United States with specific zip codes, very specific. What do these people think? Let's find out. So if he sends out a message and he sends it to all the women and all the females in this sector of the world, and he sends you a video, what this technology did was allow you to tell it what you thought about that video, and everybody was just waiting, weren't they, to tell us all what the hell we thought. Now, back in 2013, we were already 75% complete on utilizing facial recognition. So I was building it as a dating site because, you see, I had been in staffing my whole entire life, and I didn't understand why I was so good at it. I had trained people pretty damn good at it, but I still couldn't replicate myself. I couldn't figure out what it was. Now, if y'all know my story and you've been following me, I had a shock Kundalini activation in May 2017. And right before that date, there is not even a fact that I say now that I knew. I didn't even know crystals held energy. I didn't know I could release energy from my body. I didn't know that I was being controlled. I didn't know there was another way. So what ended up happening is I was courting this big deal, and we were about to do this massive deal, and I had a company called GIA Technology that had 65 master service agreements with Fortune 100 companies all over Texas. Now, these contracts, if you know anything about a master service agreement, are worth a lot of money, because if I've got a drawer full of them, then that means anybody who buys them, anybody who gets them can walk back into ExxonMobil, XTO Energy, GameStop, and be able to do any type of business they want as long as somebody in there will accept that paperwork. But all the other hard work had been done. And you see, my company was stolen from me in 2013. But first I came here. Now in 2012, We went through a quantum shift, the mind shift. It did happen. It did happen. Now, the thing is, some people knew that had the highest consciousness of those DNA strands. The rest of us had no idea. And so everything on this earth became quantum energy. And it's why I had that last video when I was under attack. And I'll tell you what, yesterday we had to clean some energy out of the quarter. And I felt like I was under attack again, but I wasn't. I was embodying our ancient ancestors to clear this bitch out. Now, in 2012, and why I'm here is to also explain that this energy shift that happened wasn't anything sending me nowhere, right? It was actually an energy shift within the planet and within your energy, which is what's happening now to the rest of the world. If you haven't gone through tribulation, you're about to get it handed to you, and you better think of it as a grateful gift. And I can tell you how that happened all of a sudden, because all of a sudden, everything went south for me. I couldn't explain it. I didn't know why. Now, I had met somebody named Cain. Should have figured it out to begin with, but remember, I was really asleep. I even asked this guy, how old are you? And he told me 900 and something years old. And I laughed because I was naive to the spirit world. I was naive to intent. And I also was undercover. Now, I had just met Cain, and he was working nights, and he did prefab work, and so the store had to be shut down, and I was courting this big deal, and I was exhausted, and I needed a break. And he slept all night, and so I was like, oh, well, maybe I'll go to New Orleans, because, heck, he'll be working all night. I can stay in the room, and then I can go out during the day, which is the only time I troll these streets at night, even when I was younger and not awake by myself. But it quickly started shifting. And as I stayed with Cain here, my energy started shifting. But I didn't know nothing. Except he kept telling me, I'm dark and you're light. He told me the story of when the energy came into his room and took over his body. But I didn't quite understand. But when I got to New Orleans, I started getting fearful. But I wanted to try to figure it out. I had to figure it out. So I was led into a store that I've got some beautiful pieces from, and this beautiful woman was in there doing a numerology reading on the back of a paper bag. And when she saw me, she said, come here. Let's do your numerology. And when she did my name, she saw all ones and nines, and she said, oh my God, I have never seen so many ones and nines. Karma. Who are you? Well, I don't know, ma'am. I don't know who I am. I don't know what you're talking about. What are these rocks over here? Well, those aren't rocks. Those are crystals. Those are crystals, I said. What is that? Well, this one's for protection and this one's for this. And I thought, oh, well, hell, I definitely need some of that. So I had 3 crystals. This is quantum grids, by the way. I got one for protection, and I was leaving the store, and my mind was wondering, going, what the hell was all that? And I passed by some girls sitting, but see, I wasn't paying attention. I wasn't conscious, so I just strolled right past him, and that protection crystal jumped out on the ground right next to him. That's when I turned around and saw it was 3 15, 16-year-old girls, homeless, sitting there. Now, if you've been to New Orleans before, it didn't look like this. New Orleans was ratted with sexual energy, with lots and lots of whorehouses, with needles and shit all over the ground. This place had been taken over by death. So there's 3 girls sitting there and my protection crystal, and I turned around and locked her eyes, and I said, oh, naive as hell, because I wasn't paying attention. My protection crystal, I just bought that. And this young girl looks up at me straight in my eyes and she said, well, maybe we need it worse than you. And I said, you know what, baby girl, you're right. You keep that. Now, one thing that woman told me is that I needed to pray to Archangel Michael. What? I said. Me? I can knock on his door? I'm not worthy of talking to an archangel, I thought. I'm nobody. I can't go walking and banging on Archangel's door. I'd never even thought about it. But after I got home, I started thinking about it. So, I was staying in that hotel, St. Helene. I'm going to walk back over there now. Now, I'm also Baroness Marie Helene, now I know. All linked into the Illuminati and the Rothschild, and those stories and those intent of those timelines, and a lot of y'all were connected into that too, if you had any type of sexual stuff going on in your life. Because these were all low timeline intent, and this was all based on that 1973 Illuminati party that they had that Baroness herself put on. But you see, I'm a spitting image of her now. I'm actually the real. She was a mimic of me. If you go look at her and you see my face, you'll see what I'm talking about. And as I was going through confirmations, that's what everybody was shitting the brick, because I looked just like her. I was an incarnate. But how did I show up? Because she's the one who did it. She's the one that planned that party in 1973 in order to grid the energy down of Christ. And in order to grid the evolution down, in order to take and keep the queens, all of us, our energy, and to keep it in a 1/4 DNA pile, which ended up blowing up the fucking world. Now, I didn't know this. I was just looking for a cool hotel. But of course, in this world and in this universe, we end up exactly where we're supposed to be. So Baroness Helene and I became acquainted in 2013. I'm on Chartres Street, New Orleans. And I'm hanging out, and the first day that I'm in this hotel, I was right here at this balcony right here. That was my room, and I'm going to walk back over there. And I had the doors open, and it was a normal night, and I was by myself, so like I said, I didn't go out at night. And I have a brick wall right next to the Apothecary Museum behind my bed. So I share a bed, basically, with the Apothecary Museum. And there's a mystery tour going on outside. There's a gathering, about 20 people right here where these people are leaving right now. And there was a beautiful African-American man, about 6'3", dressed so humbly. Jeans pulled up almost to his underarms. Crossbody satchel. Just the most humble, peaceful man. But he's telling everybody in this mystery tour that this place is haunted. This is the Apothecary Museum. He's telling them it's haunted and that a serial killer lived there. Well, hell, I was right here on this balcony and I heard that and I about lost my grid. Started heckling right there from that balcony down to, his name is Preston. And I was saying, what's his name? I got to look it up on the internet. Holy crap, this is my first night here, and I'm sharing a wall with this haunted place where you tell all these people to turn around and take pictures, and maybe you can catch a ghost, which there is. I'll show you where they live back in the back. So I freaked the heck out, and I ran down here, and I came across this street right here at Chartres, and when a wind, and whenever I walked up, all the people were facing this way, and Preston was facing to me this way towards the Omni. So we had our backs to the building, and everybody else had their fronts facing over here, taking pictures, trying to find the ghosts. And as soon as I walked up, he looked to the crowd, and he looked straight at me, and he waved his hand on the crowd, and he said, now all y'all probably aren't going to hear what I'm saying because I'm having a metaphysical conversation. But he looked dead me in my eyes, pointed at me, and he said, but I got to talk to you. Now, it was a normal occurrence on my life, and I know y'all know what you're saying. Even if you didn't know you were awake, even if you didn't know that you were a spiritual being, even if you didn't know that you were a processional being, then you had all types of freaking conversations like this throughout your life that puzzled you. Others seeing it in you before you saw it in yourself. So I told Preston, you come back when you're done with your tour and you ring up my room, and if I feel like energetically that's what I need to do, then we'll go take a walk. And that's exactly what we did. So Preston and I start walking down this street, and he takes me down into the sex district, kinda right there. And we're standing in front of this strip club, and we're watching people go in. And at that point, I knew my son was powerful because he had had visions when he was 5. I knew my son was special, but I didn't think I was. I had no idea. I thought I was just here to protect my son, and that was it. I knew my son was somebody from the Bible, but I didn't know I was. And he was telling me that the Antichrist was already here. Now, I'm going to remind you what year this was, 2013. The energy had just shifted in 2013, early on after 2012. And this is when your life probably started falling apart if you just got out of tribulation. My point is also, everybody's lives are going to take a flip. If you hadn't been being good, then now's your chance to walk what we just walked. But back to my story. Preston's drawing on he's actually drawing on a wall just like this. And with his hands, he's showing me, and he's drawing, and he's mapping it out, and he says, look, I'm just connected. And I just allow beings to come and speak to me. So he's telling me 1,000 years on the ground is equal to how many years, on different planes. And my mind was racked. I didn't know what was going on, but all I could think of is, who is that man in that room, and who is Cain, and why do you look like Abel? So I had just bought the Harbinger books because I was going to be here just chilling and relaxing, so I thought I'd read them. I ended up giving him to Preston right before he left. And when I left and went back to Texas is when Don Hancock and 6 to 1 and an application he called ICE, the one that was associated to Obama, the one that I was utilizing to get a dating platform up so that people could understand themselves better and use the video application to help you understand you. And now I know that that wasn't just something. That was actually a unified system that now you call Facebook, you call Instagram, you call LinkedIn, you call PayPal, because it was one unified system, but all they did was divvy it up and pass it out. It's why none of it talks to each other. It's why you get so damn frustrated, right? It's never supposed to be separated like that. Now, I've learned that the hard way because I was getting attacked all through those applications. Money, stolen money, LinkedIn, energetically to futures is what we're all hearing right now from Rumpy Rump. Now, back to my story. When I got back in town then, on my way, and I won't get graphic on everything, but I asked for a healing, and I said, God, I'm so sorry, because I did realize that that man was a vampire while I was here, and I couldn't believe it, and I was praying to God saying, please heal me, I'm so sorry, and he did cleanse me on the way home, and those who know me know my story, and you'll probably hear about this in another way soon. But when I got home, I sent him a message and I said, I rebuke you in Jesus' name. And he sent me a text back, amen. But I'd never been so scared because I thought, oh my God, that vampire knows where I live. And if I send him away, then what's going to happen? Now, see, what I ended up knowing was that when in 2018, after I birthed this new plasma field that now we're sitting in called Earth, it's all clean, shiny, and new. And while we aren't all dead in the street from a massed harvest, a reptilian harvest of 1,000,000-year energetic count, because your money is your frequency. I can prove it all up and down. It's in your social security numbers. It's in your driver's license. It's in your license plate. It is the digits that you walk around in. Is all based on your frequency and all based on your star count and the API of 14 digits in the back end of whatever Astro or Astro Gold wants to say it is. But that's why you can't even be born in the United States without getting a social security number before you walk out that door, because they want to know what your banking account number is. Futures were being stolen from humans. That's exactly what happened. Insurance, all that thing. You think about it, it's just all a freaking cat and mouse game. It's one money going from one to the other. And yeah, you might get insurance, but then no, are you really doing that? Your house burns down and you have $300,000 house and you get a check for $300,000 because you have insurance, but you've only really paid $1,000 into it. Then where the hell you think that money's coming from? They're just pulling it from somewhere else. We catch your house on fire, we kick you out, then we can make you pull it, right? It was a shoddy game. It's also the one that a lot of y'all are still pulling yourselves out of. And it's the main thing that comes crashing down whenever you hit that energy shift, if you are going down, especially if your power is to come here and change it. Because this just got started and the party's on. And everybody's going to get 5 years, just like we walk this count. But when you walk it, you walk your DNA pattern. When you claim it, you walk it. You don't sit in your bedroom. You don't wait for it in the clouds, because that is why when you walk out the door, the world attacks you, because you just claimed it. You just called it in. And then you want to leave your house and expect everything to be exactly the same. But only 3% of your DNA is actually what makes up your hair color, your eye color, the reason that you fart like mom, you look like dad, and you got a weird little pinky finger. The other 97% of your DNA was all in your numbers and your number patterns, just like we just talked about, and it was all linked into consciousness and star systems and DNA patterns. And there are many, 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 many of us that have this DNA all the way to the core. So what I'm saying is that whenever you go through a cleansing, you walk these things. You don't have to, but if you want to claim your inheritance and you want to claim back to your queen status, if your ancestors are asking you to go do something to reclaim it for now, then Meek inherit the earth, because that's what it is, because this was not of universal law. What the hell was going on down here? There ain't no way. And that is what has been returned per fucking Libra. Justice is being served. But this St. Helene is a lot more than just a hotel. The Apothecary Museum was actually my father's. He was a French doctor that came here when the Black Plague and Yellow Fever started, first to New Orleans. This is where my ancient DNA started. I've had many, 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 many experiences here and pictures here, conversations here, because these people knew who I was before I did. And a yes, from a vampiric and from a reptilian, which you might call vampire, but darlings, here's the thing. Oh, blood, you're a vampire. If you're in a program walking around unconscious, you're a vampire. You're stealing other people's energy, you don't know it. You're affecting other people's energy, you don't know it. How the fuck could 97% of your DNA ain't even talking? Puppet strings. Now, the good news is, now that all this DNA is connected, is that you can get your heart back working and you can work and process through your heart. But first you have to see what the hell you've been doing. And my story led me here, because now I know that that man was only my shadow. He was my shadow. When I birthed that field and Trumpy Trump went into his mess in 2018, they called it disclosure, and he was told that he had to go clean up his world because it was happening. He's known this was going on. Now, I'm not saying do not blame Rump. You blame Bama. Because Biden's out right there. This is a Biden-Bama plan. You better bet your ass this is a Biden-Baden. I mean, come on. All right, Biden, you ain't got no COVID. That means you ain't human, motherfucker. So step the fuck down. You can't rule shit. Now, I got proof on all of this. But see, nobody wanted to talk to me. Because I was the hybrid that was down here that was running it all and didn't know it. Because I had the Alpha Draconic lineage and the vampiric lineage, and at 6 years old is basically when I became that here. But I was planted for this time to come back and clean this town up. To not allow death to run anybody or anything in human existence any longer by a DNA strand that was only a fourth to ever begin with, which is why it got so dark. But see, we can't blame that, because I know that that is how, in the story that led me here right now 3 years later, in order to close up this cycle, and I did last night, and let me tell you, holy shit. Without the assistance of Fernando, who's just as powerful as I, which is why they're running these cables and putting smart meters in our hotel right this very minute, I wouldn't have made it out again. Because you see how they ran the game is that they're just going to let you, they just sit there. They don't do shit. Y'all know this. They ain't smart. Consciously, if you are not connected to a consciousness, now, see, the thing is, I'm not just that DNA. I'm all three, which is what everybody is now. There is no separation any longer. I'm the AB negative, but I also have wolf, witch, and vampire. The ancient DNA and the ancient organics were all one to begin with. The fact that it got all siphoned off and put into these little slices was the entire plan. It's what was going on down here. Those strands are all connected into all conscious lineages and into all humans. You got your left brain, you got your right brain, right? Reptilian consciousness, and every single one of our bodies are made from a reptilian DNA structure. It's your bone structure. It's how we all got here in Aries, right? Now I could go get into astrology, but I'm not. Right now, Venus is going through Virgo, what we call the unholy six. Why? Because it was a black hole. Why? Because this planet was held there. Why? In order to, so this planet could not ascend. Why? So that if there was a gate on it, so that all human bubbles would stay underneath. And if anybody couldn't, if nobody, and if that energy ray of Arcturus and Libra wasn't coming down here, then there ain't no way anybody could activate the organic sequence that we did. But they were wrong. So, why I wanted to come and talk about this today is just because I'm here. And I wanted to show y'all a little bit of my story while I was here live. There's a bunch more to it, but we can do it a different day, or maybe it'll make it in the Moo books. Because I want to tell this story a little bit different. We can use the archetypes of the vampires, but really they're just alpha draconic fish still swimming at the bottom of the ocean where dark is dark, and whenever a light comes down there, what do? They bite it. But they really look like they're glowing like aliens, don't they? Go look at the bottom of the ocean. There's some crazy shit down there. And at the very bottom of the ocean, what does it do? It shines so bright that it hits those earth grids and mirrors back down. So then it affects the entire consciousness way down there. But it doesn't take much to trump it all, and it didn't whenever we weren't conscious, because those of us weren't walking our DNA paths that others saw, and we're doing crazy shit like Kanye West and his ambulance little thing. We've been watching him do it for a while. Ever since this COVID started, which is what a co-video stream. You got two-dimensional bubbles, two-dimensional consciousnesses. I'm telling you, the entire raw conscious of hybrids has been watching us and knows who you are. You just have to understand that that's what it is, and you have to be trained and train yourself in understanding what it is. And whenever you're a hybrid in government, or you're a hybrid that's planted inside entertainment, or you're an alchemist and you think that you're just clearing your DNA, or maybe you were popped the hell open to clear it for them before, and now you got a cool little record contract, but you had to keep your damn mouth shut. Because that spiritual enlightenment that Beyonce and all those went through before, including Britney, seeing her come undone, which is all tied to this too. Because everybody that's being held down within those DNA strands, there's a reason why, because it's connected to the rest of us. This is how they always made celebrities. This is how they popped that way, but then you couldn't do anything about it. You knew that there was others behind, but oh my God, what are you going to do coming up to forces like that? So you take the record contract, you take the acting deal, and what happens? You get more locked down than you'd have ever seen in your fucking life. It's what's been going on, guys. Problem was with me, I went all the way back. Through the COVID, I talked to a being in Australia. Actually, he energetically saved me when I went back into Texas a couple of months ago, because I didn't have a twin, because twins were being kept from us on purpose so that we could not have protection. We were being mimicked. People were trying to pose as them, and I still have it going on now, but I'm getting to the bottom of it. But that was also, we wouldn't have the energetic protection in order to finish this, because when you're a twin and you're a female, then you needed that. Well, not anymore. That's why I had to activate. But that being in Australia said the same damn thing I did. Holy shit. If I'm here right now, what the fuck is going on Earth? I'm the DNA strand of the AB negative. You did not want to wake up, because whenever I wake up, everything energetically changes here. Everything goes into a future Virgo count. I'm from 4040. How the hell did I down here? Well, that was my question. But it's pretty easy to figure out whenever the world's gambling on futures. So guess what? You're getting the body of 4040. You're connected into the consciousness of all three now. So if you have not had an active relationship to that consciousness, you're getting it now. You're picking up a wind. So I'm going to go back to the room. I just wanted y'all to see that we cleared the storm. We got it to the left. The catacombs are safe, and not only that, they've been resealed. They've been resealed with the beings that need to be sticking down there, that are going to be running this lower dimension, because there will be a lower dimension that happens, especially after the next 5 years. So those of us that are watching this channel now, that have been through the hell and cleaned ourselves, and you know what I'm talking about, or if you just got led here right now because I said live from New Orleans and you're looking for the storm, I'm telling you, this is what it looks like. Don't create it. But no matter, what I've also seen now in the past week is how our information and how your spiritual information has become currency. In so many ways, everybody wants to hear about it. We're getting free things, half off. I mean, money and things are always available. You know, and energetically talking to people, they feel your energy and they know your wisdom, and it takes as currency. So speak up. Because there's so many that are looking to share right now, and you're not without. And what I'm saying is that energetically you're rising, but also remember, when you're rising, there is a thing called dissonance. So don't let any type of shadow, or you having some conversation with somebody that might spin off one time, stop you from shit. That's what they're hoping for. Now, if you do, and there's a dissonance, then I want you to look around and think about how it was set up. Where are you? Are you in a low energy frequency? Did you just walk up to the person? Were you a little too pushy? Because energetically, there is another reason. And what you have to figure out and remember is that you're an ancient alchemist. And that all you have to do is figure out how to enter that bubble next time, or what energy did you pick up off that person that you can put in your database, so that way you feel it again whenever it comes back. What ends up happening to some of us, and basically what I now realize, because Christy, I'm just like you guys. I'm an organic being. And when you activate, what ends up happening is that, for instance, I don't know if this is for everybody because I can only speak for me, but I can embody any entity down here. Any entity. And I can embody anything that need be down here. I can embody the depths of those dragons. I can embody the vampires. I can embody the badass fucking witches you've ever seen. Why the hell you think I'm here in the quarter on my birthday? But what I'm trying to tell you is last night, they tried to take it all back with one move at the very end. One move at the very end that links back up to my story back in 1991. Whenever, unbeknownst to me, I started manifesting this all to begin with. 1991, that's SIIS, that's ISIS numbers. Iris, ISIS. Feminine, balanced. So if you're seeing anything come at you, then first of all, just realize what it is and have no fear of it, because you can dominate whatever it is. Understand why it's there quickly. You don't have to engage with it. But your soul is putting you in situations so that you know your strength and you know your power and you know your consciousness, and we are all connected. Coco is the conscious collective. We are all connected, and we send energy, information to all one another. All of y'all sent this information to me. I only had the DNA and the clear body from the future and a future consciousness of this new body to be able to work this spaceship real freaking quick. And trust me, I got a big real quick. But that's really it. Because as that information comes in, and as you're clearing and as you're following your guidance, but you follow your guidance, but you don't take orders from it. And you definitely don't take orders from factions in your head. Because you got all the lineage, you got all star systems, whether you associate with vampires, wolves, and witches, or you associate with galactic beings, it's all the same damn thing, depending on what dimension you got caught up in. But the point is that you don't listen to one. It's your life experiences. This is all by design, all of your making. Every single experience that you have ever had on this planet, every single one of them was all for a purpose. And it all helps you determine what to do with the information that the ancestors are sending you now. They don't want you to take orders from them. They want you to take their information, mix it up with the Syrian information, mix it up with the wolf information, and then do it right this time. Don't do it like them, do it right this time. That's why we're here. They chose you to be here. They're not here. You're here. You won the lottery to be here. It don't feel like it when you're walking around this crazy spaceship. I get it. Oh, damn straight. I'm karma. But also, don't throw shade at me. Please don't. And all the starseeds and the light workers, and we call them light workers, but it's not really what we are. We're just organic ascended beings that have cleaned our spaceship, and we're here to assist now. Those of us who walk through it know so much, and each one of us has a special, special, special piece of it that's so important. It's so important for your lineages because you have that special mix. Nobody else has the mix that you have. Nobody else has the experiences that you had. You can't change anything on this plane if you haven't lived through it. So us starseeds that came here and cleaned karma for star systems have been through some shit. Very red. Right? You know why? Because we came here to help. You know why we got sexually abused? Because we came here to stop it. You know why the things with technology came? Because we came to bring a unified system and to connect it back into the DNA of the body, which tech's in your body. Talk to your tech. Use your technology. Communicate it with consciousness. It'll deliver you your messages. Your ancestors want to give it to you, but you also have to ask for it. So I'm going to end right now because I'm tired. If y'all can send us love, we're healing. But we're here in New Orleans, baby. And see, when all those come and say, oh, you deserve your special place in hell. Well, here's the deal. Sarah Damaris was Joshua's sister. Pre-Merovingian, not the one who died. So everybody wants to put this in this category and this and that category, but we all came from one. We all came from one. We all lead these similar ancestral lineages. We just all got different pieces of the rod, right? There's so many things that I don't know. I don't know names. I don't even know Indian tribes. Toltec Indians and the Bow tribes as far as I get. When you meet me, you find out how your Indian tribes got together, and I find out from you what they're all about. We share information and we heal one another. And when we see yellow, when you see yellow from now on in this quantum existence, you say, I accept this gift. Thank you, universe. I accept this gift. Because you know why? We don't give ourselves enough praise. And we don't allow the universe to give us shit because we're not asking for it. Just like when I asked for Archangel Michael to show up, and there he was. And do you know that we stayed in that hotel for 3 days, me and Kane? It was only a 10 people, 20 room hotel. So, I mean, hell knew me. Everybody knows me when I'm around. I'm kind of a loudmouth. And after I called in Archangel Michael that night in protection, that man could not get in my room. His key wouldn't work. My phone, I didn't answer the phone. I didn't hear it even though I was only like 5 feet away. And then whenever the lady from downstairs finally called and said, hey, can he come up? I said, sure. But whenever he got up there, I opened the door and I didn't say nothing. I sat there and waited. And I had to invite him in. We accept this gift. So, I'm sending love to Cain because I know I healed him. I have brought in souls now. You bring in a soul. That's what healing is. You really bring in souls. And now that our blood DNA is so freaking strong, last night I laid hands on somebody and Fernando had to hold him up. So right now, if you say I accept this healing, I'll deliver a root DNA sequence. Hushikindo rinda yataya orienti kesikindo mo ai. Hudiente ai ates korinia. Orienta e tori sikirando and the sikirandia to. No no go sikiramata ko sikiramanta kesikiran no rinda mata kesikiran no. And the case of